Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be talking about glycogen synthesis. So, let's go here. Glycogen synthesis. Alright, so why would we want something like this? Well, we're going to want this when we're in a high energy state. So what does that mean? That means when we have a lot of glucose, okay? That means we have a lot of glucose, a lot of free-floating glucose, and let me change this real quick. A lot of free-floating glucose and ATP, a lot. So when we have a lot of this, we're like, we have a lot of this small little glucose compound just floating around. We're like, okay, we want to convert this, and we want to store it more efficiently into this kind of branch right here. So this is glycogen right here. Glycogen synthesis, and this is what we're going to be making. Let's see. So, okay, so the first step is glucose, right? Glucose molecule, stratum black. Still trying to get used to this. Glucose molecule is going to go under hexokinase. This is glucose, and it's going to go to a G6P, glucose 6 phosphate, glucose 6 phosphate, and this is done through hexokinase. Okay, once we have this G6P, we can actually convert it back to G1P, glucose 1 phosphate. And this is done by the same enzyme that we saw in our glycogen breakdown, which is phosphoglucomutase. I'm just going to shorten it PGM for short. So we're going to have this glucose 1 phosphate, and what's going to happen to it is that it's going to be converted to a UDP glucose. So we have this UDP right here. Where does that come from? It's kind of like ATP, but not really. It's not. It's similar to it. It's uridine triphosphate. So this uridine triphosphate is going to come on in, UTP, and it's going to leave as a UDP. UDP. So it's going to donate. It's going to donate a it's actually UDP to glucose, and we're going to be left over with pyrophosphate, PPI, 2 phosphate groups, and this is going to go under hydrolysis to power the reaction. So H2O lysis. Another page. All right. So the fourth step, last step, is that UDP is a good leaving group. So you have UDP glucose, right? Well, it's a pretty good leaving group. This kind of wants to leave. So what's going to happen is that UDP glucose plus glycogen primer is gonna convert to a glycogen. It's gonna be our final step, glycogen. But how does it do this? What actually goes on? So right here, we're gonna have this enzyme called glycogen synthase, which kind of makes sense for synthesizing glycogen. You can spell that right. And over here, we're going to have the glycogen primer, okay? And that's it. That's going to be, UDP is going to basically get released. We're just going to have this UDP glucose plus glycogen primer. It's going to set everything up to our chain right here. And it's going to come in. And the primer is going to kind of set everything, get everything going for the glucose, and the UDP is just going to do its job and then leave as UDP, and that's glycogen synthase.